Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life, a podcast that brings you an intimate exploration of the businesses, practitioners, and artists making an impact in our community. Join us on Patreon for an exploration of all the people, places, and things that raise consciousness in our community by telling us about the businesses and happenings you'd like to know more about, and we'll explore them for you. Welcome to another episode of Mindful Cities Tuning into Life. And I'm your host today, Helen Blocker, and our first podcast together, my co-host, Heather Grutzmacher, interview our special guest, Ariane Traverso. So I wanted to pass this on to Heather to welcome Ariana. You have such incredible information for mindful businesses, mindful business owners practices. And I've always been really engaged, but definitely got to see you at the Yoga Expo itself, which is where I met Heather. So this is how this connection has circled back. And it just shows the true connections that happen at the Yoga Expo.
Yeah, Helen, thank you so much. And welcome, Ari. Super, super grateful and excited today to be in this trifecta of the three of us. My favorite thing is acknowledging, Ari is someone who elevates everybody else and promotes their businesses. And I'm like, who shows up for her? Not just in her personal life, but like who puts Ari on the stage? Because she puts like hundreds of people, female business owners, yoga people, teachers, guides. Like the Yoga Expo has probably between 2,000 and 10,000 followers. Ari also has her coaching company. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a sister, she's a daughter. She runs a family business also for her dad's family. She kind of is a superhero. And so for me, it's like sister, mentor, friend. We teach each other. Now we have affiliates and partnerships together. Oh, yeah, she's launching a clothing line also, which we'll be doing a capsule collection of retreats. You name it in the wellness industry. Ari's done it herself. She literally is making the t-shirt now. So it's like, who brings Ari on a stage?
Yes.
TED Talk coming soon, we hope. It's coming. So we get to be those girls, you and I, Helen, on Mindful City. And I'm just so honored because integrity wise, I was like, who are we going to have on first? I was like, no brainer. Ari, yoga expo. So
Exactly.
thanks for being with us, Ari. How does it make you feel to hear all that about yourself?
I want to like crawl under my desk and be like, what? That's not me. I'm just like covering my face over here. Thank you though. That it's so funny, when other people introduce you, the emotions that come up, whether it's like I'm embarrassed or I'm proud, or like there's so many little voices in the background. So anyways, thank you though. I sound like a badass.
Exactly.
We only speak truth on Mindful City. That's one of our tuning into life. And then we have to do like truth only later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ariana, you have you have an incredible platform at the Yoga Expo where you put everyone into the front and onto the stage. And where did it come from for you? What drove you to even get to that place? Because the Yoga Expo is that big stage, but what has it taken you to get here?
Well, first of all, the it's funny because like I'm gonna build up to the Yoga Expo. I've been, I guess, creating events for a long time due to the like nature of yoga, like collaborating on events, with other friends, especially since I was an acro yoga teacher. It was always about collaboration. It was always about unity. It was always about like, let's do this together. Let's put this thing together. So to me, that aspect has always almost been baseline of my career, right? It's not just a business, a career. And then when I got the opportunity to become the owner of the Yoga Expo, because I'm not the founder, I bought the company basically. It was like almost a natural progression. I was like, oh, great. Now more people get to come to the party. Instead of it being like 3 of us teaching, it could be 60.
But even before you came to that, you were already providing coaching and training and training and executive assistance for those who were entrepreneurs in
Yeah.
the wellness field, yoga, fitness. This has been your area of expertise. How
Yeah.
has that tied into the Yoga Expo? Because one thing I definitely noticed is that you are about moving those entrepreneurs forward. So it's
Yeah.
really tied into what you do as your coaching business. So how have you married the two?
So I love that question. Because I had a studio for a while here in Miami. And a lot of the stuff that I was doing was leadership based, certifying people, right? So I've been certifying people as yoga teachers and acro yoga for years and years and years and years. And the beauty of helping people step into leadership is that you become a better leader,
Mhm.
right? Like it's the fallout, the side effect per se. And it almost happens without you realizing it. Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to become a leader because I'm leadering other people. Like it it can happen. I don't like to use the word just. So that was, I think, the natural, again, it's like a natural progression. I can't say that I would have done anything Yoga Expo related. Like when I got the opportunity to become the owner, now I'm the co-owner with Sandra, but when I first got the opportunity to own Florida,
Mhm.
the main thing that people said when it was my show versus the previous owner show was like, oh my God, the energy and community that was missing. And it's because I had been, teaching at so many, like I had been leading workshops and events and things all over South Florida forever. I would drive to Orlando. I would drive to the West Coast, to Sarasota, Naples. I would go to Palm Beach. Like I was the Homestead, because people were like, hey, Ari, I want to do, an acro workshop, or I want to do a Thai massage intensive. And, those were all my modalities. Even teacher trainings. I would teach teacher trainings for other studios that didn't have it. So yeah, it was really beautiful to kind of get that feedback, that it was like, and hugging people, right? Like seeing people at the expo and just being like, oh my God, and just having people show up was really the coolest thing ever. Like, yeah, I also made money, which was wonderful because it's a lot of work to put a show together. Um, but it was work that felt fun and that was in purpose. So it was really lovely.
So this year you had planned for the Yoga Expo World in California. And as many of us have heard or have seen, the Pasadena fires and the area surrounding the fires. And then the location was actually used as I forgot what was it used for,
For the evacuees.
evacuees. Exactly. So what a situation to deal with, as organizing such an incredible and a huge event, and to navigate all those who had planned to come, those who are facilitating. What happened? How did you all, pivot this? Because you did an incredible turnaround and have a plan for the year. But tell us a little bit, what did it do for you and Sandra and the team and all those involved, and in moving forward?
Thank you. Thank you. It was, you can either panic or pivot.
Mhm.
And one thing about being a business owner for almost 20 years now is that if you don't pivot, you burn.
Mhm.
And play on words here, but it really is. And you know what happened? I wasn't scared. I was like, everything's gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen. Like I know like everything's in God's hands and in divine purpose. Um, so I wasn't freaking out. I think that's also one of my superpowers. Like I don't know, as a Gemini, I'm just like, I just go with the wind. Um, but what's the purpose of the Yoga Expo? It's not a, it's again, I'm going to say I sometimes wish it was like a cash cow in terms of like how it's not, it's a labor of love, this
Mhm.
business. It's from the heart. Sandra and I are like so in alignment with that. Um, so what is my purpose as a yogi, right? As a woman is to also serve
Mhm.
in the highest form of the word, right? Don't look at it as a bad word. Like to me, like when I serve my husband, when I serve my child, like it's my highest state of being. Um, so what was our other what was our option? Like there was no other option but to like, how do we support our community that's literally on fire?
I want to celebrate you guys because I got to watch it all, like the ninja on the back end. Watching the back end of you guys do this and then knowing the growth. Can you share a little bit about like it was gonna be January 11th, now it's April 13th, the fires happen, and like now there's gonna be like double the amount of people coming to the expo. Like share like some of that. Like how did that feel for you guys pivoting?
Yeah, like first of all, we had to make a decision. And we didn't know that the convention center was going to be used as an evacuation by the Red Cross. Like we didn't know that. And we were like, oh, the fires are like 2 miles away. Does that, because I know people, it's funny, we know air and water here in Florida as hurricanes and, like crazy storms. We don't know fire like that.
Right.
Uh,
And what
and wind, yeah. And like in California, like I've been to California where there's been fires and people, but they're up in the hills and people are like kind of doing their own thing. And I'm just like, wow, that's so wild. Like that's on fire right there. So this was extra because it got into, when it first happened on the west coast in the Palisades, like that's still quite far from Pasadena. But then, and we were like, okay, I think we're still good. We're still good. But fire moves so quickly. We're again used to hurricanes. It takes a week. You can like walk away from Florida and the hurricane still isn't here. But then it like all of a sudden was like Pasadena or Altadena. We're like, no. Like it was way west. Now it's like exactly where the convention center is. So, or a few miles from it. So that was kind of a very stressful like 2 to 3 days. We had everybody writing us. So a lot of my times was spent answering emails, answering texts, answering emails, answering texts. Um, and Sandra with like the exhibitors. Do we fly out? Do we not fly out? Do we fly out? Do we not fly out? People come in from all over the place. So yeah, it was like a whirlwind. I feel like I was in my phone. And while Sandra's like, well, I'm going to California. And then me and Marcel had bags packed and my husband, he helps. And then I was like, well, we should go too. And then she's like, what for? I was like, great, I'll stay home and I'll manage from here. And then that's when, 3 days before the show, I was like, Sandra, like, really? And she's like, yeah, no. And then literally when we made that decision, the convention center was like, hey, by the way, we're using this as a evacuation zone.
God is amazing.
God is
That's
amazing.
God. God is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we had over 1,000 people coming and I'll tell you guys, most people did not even ask for a refund. And I think it's also because of what we did. Like some people said, I can't go, just add it to my donation, for your guys' PayPal. So we added some money in there and that's how we were also able to get to the funds. Like it was all like community driven fundraising. And we're a small business, so this could have really really hurt us because we've already paid everybody. We've paid the convention center, we've paid audiovisual, we've paid this, we've paid plane tickets, like we paid everybody. So it was we had knots in our throat for a bit and luckily again we were surrounded by angels. So we use our resources. And I'm gonna just turn this into a teaching moment for people. When you've put yourself in so many positions like myself and Heather and so many of us here and Helen, as professionals, where you're in charge of so many things. right? You now have a gift and a very highly, I don't know, I feel like that's like a movie line. Like it's like, this is your high skill set. Uh, like James, not James Bond, what's his name? Mission Impossible guy type of thing. But I now have a high set of skills that allows me to be like, oh, I need to put on a virtual show in 24 hours. I can do that. I know exactly what I need to do.
Yes.
And it's because I've taken the time to try things, succeed at them, fail at them, mess up in them, learn from them. And this I really believe is the line on the sand where you make it as an entrepreneur, you make it as a business owner, or you stay doing whatever you're doing that is maybe not fulfilling you, giving you the, checking off those boxes of like pride and happiness and joy. And I'm going to go back to pride. Like I like to be proud of myself, I like to be proud of myself. So yeah, like that's how we did it. I talked to Sandra and I was like, no. And it wasn't alone because one of the participants, one of our teachers, Masood. So if Masood, you're listening to this, thank you. He was like, hey, can we do something virtual? And I was like, absolutely. Give me like an hour. And that's where, again, knowing things, having skill sets, and resources, right? Because if you don't know something, be resourceful, figure out, I made like 2 phone calls and I was like, all right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Oh, and we raised almost $6,000.
That's incredible.
Watching them and getting to, I'm going to say like getting to witness them and then support and show up and watch what happened, to also be a student and hold space if they needed it, and like be like, Ari, what do you need? Do you need tea? You need a massage? You're like, she's a human, even though she's a superhero. She calls me a ninja. We're all martial artists and we're all magicians. I think it's something that the three of us have in common. That's why we're here on this call, on this podcast right now, is to teach people that you can live your life if you get into yoga and you get into meditation and you elevate your consciousness, you become a more evolved human. I feel like that's why we're all here. I feel like we're representations of that. And we get to teach women to hold each other and fix each other's crowns and say, hey, like, you have spinach in your teeth, toilet paper on your shoe, and like, let me zipper your dress for you. Like, that's all we do. Ari and all, that's all we do all day. That's all
Yeah.
Sandra did to create the success of the
Yeah.
LA Yoga Aid. Helen, it's all you and I do. I called you before we got on this call because we feel each other off the phone. And then we get to use the technology on the phone. Ari is like, she has everything dialed. She knows every app. She knows what's broken. She knows what one not to use. So it's like being just associated with the two of you. For me, it's a reflection of my work and my ascension as a businesswoman,
Yes.
as a yogi. It's like all we get to do is just mirror, 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 mirror. And then if we get the luxury to get Sandra on here and she's in the 4th box on the
Yeah.
next podcast, she's
Yes.
on a whole other level too, that one.
Oh my God. She like Sandra, and I hope that she blushes when she sees this, when she hears this. Like, dude, I thought I was a hard worker and like worked fast. Sandra, you beat me. And like hats off to you, lady. Because I mean, and we balance each other so well because I say like she is my Virgo and I am her Gemini. I am like the wild storm and she's like the grounding force. And she's so detail oriented and I'm like crazy. And she's also very creative and I'm also very detail oriented. And you know what I mean? Like that's why she does like all logistics for the event. And I'm like, I manage the presenters and I make the schedule and I work on the marketing. So it's super cool to be surrounded by, high level professionals who are all in alignment of core values. Like it's all about wellness. It's all about happiness. It's all about, giving back, paying it forward. And we know, right? We know that like, we sit here and we surrender. We surrender because when you can show up, or I don't even like to use that like projection. It's like when I show up knowing that I'm working at my 110%, doing my best, because that's the only thing I can do. I can choose to do my best or I can choose to do. So I choose to do my best. Then if I'm in that state, like that's high frequency. So what do you attract when you're in high frequency and when you're in service and when you're operating at your best? Like nothing really terrible can happen.
So you've set the date for the Yoga Expo in Los Angeles.
Yes, it's April 13th and then Florida is May 3rd.
With that energy and you're moving forward to the expo for 2025, what do you all have in mind? Because, coming together with all the practitioners and the entrepreneurs that are coming together, they're also getting something to move forward, for the year. It's not only just to be an expo to, share what everyone's doing, but we're also, looking at an industry on a larger scale. What are some of the things that you're sharing with entrepreneurs, business owners, practitioners, facilitators this year, whether it's for the love of it, whether it's for community service, whether it's for a business, whether it's to feed your family?
So our word is unity. And it was believed when we started. And what we saw happen during the, catastrophe was that everybody united. And that's really what yoga even means. So if we're talking about foundation and basics, like so we shifted the theme to unity. Now, if you want to build a business alone, you're going to get far. But if you build a business united with others, I'm not saying make them your business partners. I'm saying unite in thought, unite in energy, unite in collaboration, unite in purpose, right? Unite in support, because, I don't know, maybe you guys listening, but there's been times where I looked at my parents and I was like, they think I'm insane, because my parents are double economists, like double masters. My mom's worked for corporations her whole life, so she's super corporate woman. My dad's a bit of a crazy entrepreneur, but still, like, they were like, you don't have a real job. Like, you're a yoga teacher. Like, what do you do? Even I think my mom asked my husband the other day. He's like, what does Ariane do? And my husband's like, what? Like, I can't go ask her. Like, I can't even explain. Like, she does so much. But when I was mainly a yoga teacher and like freelancing in photography and, working this gig and, going to South Africa to teach for 5 days, they probably thought I was insane, because they're boomer generation, super safe, super structured, build safety. And I was like this like explosive firecracker that they had no idea how to handle. And
Dynamo. Have you taken the
dynamo.
aptitude test? She's a dynamo.
And yes, yeah, the DISC assessment. I'm a high D. I'm a high D. And what's the one, like conformist? Like I'm like the lowest C possible. I think I have like 0 C.
And I think that my favorite thing about the paradigm of the three of us is that we've turned the healing artist into its own paradigm as a career move.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here with you guys. That's always who I've been too. My mom was like, "You have the job of a housewife." Sorry, mom. That's a part-time job being a Pilates teacher. I used to cry and be like, "I'm nothing." Now I'm like, "Watch me now." I say to my other business partner, Nick, I'm like, "We're rebellious angels.
Oh my God, I love that.
We're like earth angels and we're rebelling, but it's for the light."
Yeah.
Something I'm currently struggling with, actually. There's so much in the, corporate structure that's just so opposite of the life of what it is that who we naturally are, especially when you are in these fields, these healing modalities where you're like, it's kind of counterintuitive to be in those environments because it doesn't, align with who we are. And I think, a lot of practitioners, coming to you, Ari, for business coaching and wanting to get their, practice coming and still have one foot in that door, one foot, out the door, and trying to kind of navigate getting their business going. And I think it's incredible what you all are doing, because you do provide a variety of resources through the workshops that you do at the expo. There's access to learning and networking, getting to know each other, meeting each other. And here, I met Heather, and that wasn't even in a session we met. We just literally met at each other's booths. She came over, I had a stand And just imagine joining the networking, what you get out of that, joining the workshops, really investing in yourself and in unity and in the community. I think it's incredible, and I'm looking forward to both of the events. I'm not sure if Los Angeles is in it for me, but I definitely want to try.
Yay,
But
we'd
yes,
love to have
Florida
you.
for sure. Well, I look forward to it, and I wanted to thank you for taking out the time out of your schedule. I know we all have so many things going on, and it's always just amazing to take a moment to reflect and to be encouraged by each other as we move forward. So I definitely would love to have you back on the show and to bring Sandra on the next time too. And
Yes, I'm gonna tell her.
yes, please. Thank
Oh, thank
you.
you, ladies. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And if you guys have any questions, you want to get in contact with me, my Instagram is ari.biz.coach. My website's Ariane, Arianne, and then om.com. And then the Yoga Expo, of course, it's Yoga Expo World on Instagram. So thank you.
I'll share
I'll
that
see you
too
ladies
in your
soon.
post. Thank you so much.